Whose phone's ringing? Is it mine? Is it yours?
Mine's dead.
No,
Mine's
it's-
always dead. Actually,
Yours
mine's
is dead. Yours is dead.
Actually, it's not dead.
Okay, I'm going to turn my phone on to something. DND. Do not disturb, motherfuckers.
Or Dungeons and Dragons.
I was about to say that's not the kind of D&D that normally goes on in your house.
I know.
Is it, Victoria?
Dungeons and Dragons she's turning it onto.
Yeah.
How rude. And we're back to dragging me. It's like we never left.
Oh, mate, I'm so thrilled to see you guys. I feel like I've pent up a lot of energy in the interim.
All right. Well, get ready because you're about to release it. Welcome to So Uncouth, a podcast filled with conversations you can't have in polite company. I'm Victoria Hannaford, a recovering journalist. I'm with Caroline Craig, an actor, or do we call her Mount Krakatoa?
Something's going to explode, that's for sure.
And we're with our friend, the mysterious I can't even. And we're with our friend, the mysterious Bunsen burner, BB,
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
who has been MIA since we caught up. But the world is a vastly different place, coincidence or not a coincidence.
That's all I'm going to say. I mean, I can't.
Is it really vastly different?
Oh, listen, we can't get into geopolitics. That's not what we're about. But yes, it is different. We are three friends who live in three different cities, and you're joining our catch up. Now, we have been on hiatus. We're delighted to be back together. We hope you're delighted that we're back together. We're delighted you're here with us. So we've taken ourselves out of the freezer. Well, I've taken my name out of the freezer as a selfless act of public service. It's Christmas Day in Australia, at least. I'm not sure with time differences what that means if you're in another part of the world.
We're usually ahead of the curve. So
Exactly.
Yep.
So when this hits your ear holes, it should be the festive season. And due to popular demand, at least 2.5 members of the Couth have asked where we've been. We are back to make your festive season just a little bit uncouther. So if you are in a darkened place, snatching time away from your family or friends or chosen family or just some randos that you decided to spend Christmas with for reasons you're now struggling to remember.
And then hide from.
Exactly. If you are hiding in a cupboard with some flat sparkling wine, or you're sort of at that point in the day where you're hoping to fall into a coma after eating your own body weight in seasonal proteins and puddings, we're here for you. Now, you may be asking yourself, are we here to share heartwarming tales of festive joy? No, we are not. We are here to share tales of a so uncouth Christmas. And, through a special dose of seasonal schadenfreude, you can then feel better about your own. So tell your family, friends or randos that you are meditating and strap yourselves in for a so uncouth of Dickensian proportions as we take you through our very best or worst Christmas stories. Take it away, Bunsen burner.
Oh, what an intro! Jesus,
I know.
it's a lot of pressure for this these stories to
A bit of build up there.
have a
Excitement.
real impact. But listen, first of all, I'd just like to say I've taken it a little. It's not so much a best or worst Christmas. It's more just kind of like a generic childhood. This was my Christmas. Why did I ever believe in Santa? Kind of vibe. Okay. Okay. Well, it's also kind of like it. Yeah. So basically, we were always away for Christmas from our hometown, which I won't disclose either of those locations. But we were approximately 3.5 hours drive away from home every Christmas.
Were you at least near the beach?
I can reveal that. Yes, we were.
Well, you're a step up from my Christmas. So that sounds good.
But the question is, did we see the beach? No, because every day. So we were in a fibro shack, a 3-bedroom fibro shack with my grandparents and my brother and my parents that had like a coal thing, like a briquette coal sort of thing that you had to use to heat the water.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, every morning we would wake up at approximately 4:30 or 5 a.m. on Christmas morning.
That's
and
exciting.
there would be a garbage bag at the end of our beds.
Like a plastic one.
Oh,
Like a plastic garbage bag.
that was your Santa sack? Or?
Santa's trash.
Rubbish. Yeah, that should have been the first sign, okay, that Santa was perhaps, if he was real, maybe he'd forgotten us. I don't know. And we would then go in and take our Santa rubbish sack into my parent. This was the best part of the whole Christmas. And then we would,
best bit, guys.
Then
we would taking out the trash at the end of the night. It's the first thing in the morning. It's 5:30. It's you and the garbos, mate.
Yeah, we might not be revealing your age, but I think like if this was in the 80s, we can be sure that was a highly toxic material as well. Like it's not a modern garbage bag.
We haven't even got to what was inside it. We haven't even got to that.
Well, you know what? I don't even remember. I mean, I do remember the excitement was there, but then every year it was kind of like, oh, yeah. Because after we opened the Christmas gifts, it was then all hands on deck because we had to drive the 3.5 hours home to our actual home, permanent home, to then host Christmas for approximately 30 extended family.
Why?
So we'd get up, we'd open our gifts, we'd then have to get in the car, and without disclosing the location, I will say that there are a lot of twists and turns on this road, and if there wasn't vomit, there was definite bilious nausea.
Oh.
This is Christmas morning, mate. Christmas morning.
You're a festive green.
Oh. And then we'd get back to the house. It's now kind of like 9 a.m. or something. And we then we haven't been in the house for a week. We need to clean it. We need to prepare food. We need to set the table. We need to like prepare for people to come over. And also because there were some members of my family, without disclosing too much identifying information, who were of European descent and did not understand when they came to this country why Australians insisted on eating a hot Christmas lunch. We would just have pressed luncheon meat, like all cold cuts essentially, but like not classy ones like prosciutto or bresaola or something. It's more just kind of like pressed, like, like those chicken tubes that you just cut.
Oh, yep. They call it Fritz in South Australia.
Yeah.
Do they?
Yeah.
We used to call it donkey dick at school.
That's better.
We had the whole sausage, obviously.
I did love a donkey dick and tomato sauce sandwich with a whole lot of butter. I'm going to try and have one of those again, maybe. Anyway,
safe to say they were mystery meats.
mystery meats. Anyway, there were also mystery salads. I remember every year someone would bring this salad, and I'd think, oh my God, it's like a potato salad that is like covered in mayo. And then I'd put my fork into the potato and go, this is a bit hard. And then I put it in my mouth and realized it wasn't potato in mayo. It was apple in mayo.
Like a Waldorf salad, right?
Well,
wow.
It was, so basically from the whole time, the drive, then you'd come home, then the preparation for other people to arrive, you'd constantly be kind of going, if Santa was real, why would he be getting me to do this? And because then everybody would leave, we'd have to clean up, we'd have to pack up. We then had to visit some other extended family on the way out and then drive the 3.5 hours back. That is a Christmas day. That's one Christmas day. It involves garbage bags, 7 hours of driving, pressed luncheon meat, and a salad, surprise salads. And where's Santa in all of that, and why? I feel like I did as much work as Santa dropping off those presents.
This is the opposite of a Christmas miracle. There's no feeling of festive baby Jesus joy in any of that.
And the thing that still gets me now is, as a parent myself, I have mixed feelings when it comes to Christmas. I do enjoy seeing the elements that my kids enjoy of Christmas, but I also find it a little bit gross, like the sort of like materialism, and then, you know, there's all politics and blah, blah, blah.
Fuck capitalism, man.
But I always was, I can't understand how my parents could possibly have enjoyed a single moment of that. And they're in charge. Why? Why did they do it?
Well, listen, there is a Catholicism strand in your family. And if I know one thing about the Catholics, they do like to self-flagellate. You know, maybe Christmas is all about punishment if you're really celebrating it in the right way.
What were the relatives like who turned up?
Catholic.
Yeah. And did they say like a sort of a grace and all that sort of stuff? Was it quite?
No, but we only saw them on that particular day, maybe one other time a year. So there was, and they were always very formally dressed. Like all the kids my age were wearing kind of chinos and ironed shirts and stuff.
Wow.
Sailor kind of necklines. Yeah.
Yeah. And my brother and
like you're in a family photo in America.
Yeah. And my brother and I were just sort of wild. And it just, it was always kind of like, we'd be like, so, how have you been this year? Like with your own, you know, it was just a weird vibe. Like they were just, anyway. So all I'm saying is it's not one worst Christmas, but I think it's a
blueprint.
First world problems, I think, you know, but
very generous, I got to say, of your parents. It's actually very generous to break up their holiday, get out of there, drive 3 hours. I mean, everyone could have come down to you and there's always
where?
that.
Sorry, where was that? Don't reveal the location.
Everyone could have come down to you down at the beach place.
But the thing is that the whole reason for doing it, I think, was to not break up their holiday. Like if they had driven overnight and they'd driven one night, then stayed, then had Christmas Day, and then, you know what I mean? This was all an act of like, this is going to be hell. Let's just get it all done in a 24-hour period.
As a wise person once said, when you're going through hell, keep going. Right?
Keep going.
And that sounds like your Christmas message, Bunsen burner.
Yeah.
From you to us and the Couth.
Yeah. And so
Bunsen, I think a lot of people could relate to that actually at
really?
Christmas. Yeah, I really do. Don't you think? A lot of people now have to drive great lengths to go to places. And, you know, all different families that are, you know, all now disparate. They have to drive to their mum's place and they have to go to their dad's place. They have to go to this side of the family. They have to go to that side of the family.
I can imagine, Caroline, with your family, that there might be quite a lot of driving then. But I would, you know.
Oh, I just have one question, Bunsen. When was it that you finally twigged that this was not the way to do Christmas? Was that sort of a childhood realisation, or was that something that occurred to you in recent adult life?
Well, I do remember when we were because I would then go back into this period of back to the beach where we would be for another couple of weeks. So I wouldn't really compare notes with other peers, you know, like, and so really I remember, and this was when we were at uni, there was a guy who had this fantastic party every year that was on Christmas night, and you could go after you'd done all of your family stuff and then kind of, you know, sometimes it was like a bring along your kind of, you know, most ridiculous Christmas gift or whatever. But everybody kind of arrived at different times, kind of with varying shades of PTSD from the Christmas that they had with their families.
I might have come to that party with you.
I mean, I definitely. And I think it was more like that was probably my first opportunity to really compare notes with other people about what they actually did on Christmas Day. So I think it was probably kind of late that I sort of, you know, I don't know when I realized that Santa wasn't real, but I think that came pretty early on, because why would he do that? Like,
why the garbage bags?
Why would he put us through this?
Yeah.
You know?
Sounds like Santa's name got a little bit jumbled, and Satan was having a bit of a hand in your day.
Oh, no. I see what you did there.
I didn't see what she did. What'd she do?
Satan.
Ah, yeah, right.
Listen, The Simpsons made that joke about, I'd say, 25 years ago. So, you know, I'm hot on the heels of cutting-edge comedy.
Still, though, garbage bag, that's pretty generous. It's not like, you know, a little shopping bag. It wasn't like a Safeway bag.
I didn't say it was full, mate. I didn't say it was full.
Bunsen, have you any sort of final words that you want to add?
All I'm saying is this year, I'm not doing that. That's it.
Is this part of growing up? Is this you're able to go, you know what? Foot down. No garbage bags.
Oh, no, I'm still doing stuff I don't want to do.
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe not. I don't know.
That's Christmas, mate. That's Christmas.
I think that is Christmas. I really do. You do stuff you don't want to do.
Okay, so Caroline, it's time for you to take us away. What's your Christmas crisis? Or is it a nice story? I don't know.
Oh, gosh. Well, we have kind of the opposite of your story of driving long distances. We have everyone coming to us, always at my parents' place in the Yarra Valley that they built in the 70s, a mud brick place. We have cousins coming down from Queensland. My two cousins who I used to get on with, my two cousons who I get on with very well.
Caroline. You are going to have an awesome Christmas.
By the way, I'm not editing that out.
Oh, no, we all get on really well.
Merry Christmas, Krieg family. It's going to be a good one.
Oh, jeez. Basically, regardless of whether or not you were divorced, you had years of systematic abuse, huge fights, financial fallouts, any kind of disaster befalling the fracturing and irrevocably sundering the family would be put aside and we'd all come together for Christmas and just forget about it. So it was basically...
It's like a Christmas brew.
Exactly.
Big old punch, throw it all in.
Exactly, a Christmas crucible. And so you'd have everyone in there, people who maybe hadn't spoken to each other for a long time, who had just last seen each other in a divorce court, or fighting for custody for just basically last time they saw each other, they threw something at each other. They'd all come together, and on Christmas Day, Christmas Eve, and we'd all stay together. So it's not like we can just come for one day because you've got to drive.
What are we talking?
Well, this is 80s. So in the 80s, it was great because I really looked forward to it as a kid because my cousins, who I still get on with very well, would come down from Queensland, even after their parents were divorced, and they'd come down and stay. Their mum didn't come. She'd married someone else and was happily on the coast.
Why wasn't she there then? Because, I mean... Sorry. I
think flights were expensive in the 80s.
I'm not going to go into that.
Let's not go there. She should have been there.
All the other divorcees were there.
Exactly. So my parents have been married and divorced 3 times, right? It's hard to explain.
Or
not
together.
To each other.
They were married to someone else, then they married each other, then they divorced and they married someone else, right? So I'm like the middle... I'm the Gordian knot in the middle, right? That holds this whole, let's call it shit show together. And everyone would come together and there's a really strict regime. So my mum would make sure that it all, and it's very English, it's sort of very ersatz English. Everyone has to play an instrument. Everyone's got to perform songs. We all have to watch George C. Scott's A Christmas Carol the night before, which is basically a 70s Gothic horror.
Can I just fill in a tiny bit of detail here? So the background, like when you said this was made in the 70s, we're talking mud brick and like rough-hewn kind of logs everywhere.
Yeah. Dark, so a lot of stained glass. Yeah.
And tiny bit damp?
Could be. Yeah. Well, it's damp because there's also a swimming pool which is filled with mud and about 8 dogs, and everyone's jumping, including the dogs, because there's a dog beach in the pool and into the house. So there's just constant water and a lot of alcohol. And
the alcohol is drunk, I believe, in goblets, like medieval sort of goblets.
Yeah. It's got a slightly Lord of the Rings kind of vibe.
I feel like I can imagine someone with a massive like turkey bone drumstick just kind of gnawing on it and throwing it over their shoulders.
Yeah, that'd be good, except there's no bones in the turkey because it's what I think a lot of people call a turducken, but my mum likes to call a trois poulet, which I believe is something like a pheasant stuffed in a duck, stuffed in a chicken, stuffed in a like
you
turkeys on the
introduced
outside.
Me to the trois poulet. You came out a lot, you know. youth.
It's been very cathartic. And so basically every Christmas, like you were saying, Victoria, my cousins and I would run away. Like we get our thing. We'd get we had the sacks that my mum had made. So there's a lot of homemade vibe. Everyone's going to make stuff. All of our Christmas presents had to be made. So there'd be a lot of really bad sort of crystallized fudge. My uncle would always smoke fish. He'd always smoke trout. He'd have to catch the trout and smoke them. But often he'd forget because he did like a drink in the middle of the day or sometimes in the morning, and he'd smoke the trout, put it in an esky, but leave the esky outside and in the stinking heat, and sometimes the cats would get into it, but he'd still bring it anyway.
You know what though? Do you know, like,
and
I know that this sounds like it probably had varying kind of levels of stress because of the kind of like, the conflicts that had happened or whatever.
Was it a trampoline of stress?
It really was.
But
there's so much loud music, you can't really tell.
I do feel like, in a weird way, it is kind of the spirit of Christmas, isn't it?
Yes.
It's putting aside your differences.
Yeah.
It's coming together. It's memory making. And it's also like, I do like the idea of everything being made, that you're actually kind of giving things to people. And also, I mean, what is this whole performing with musical instruments? That's like crazy, but great.
Basically just trying to get kids to do their music practice. And yeah, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. We now have an entire garage filled with decorations that my brother, basically puts away by Christmas Eve and then gets them out again. It takes him so long to put them away at the end of Christmas. The entire house is lit up like crazy. And yeah, look, it was really good fun as a kid. And as I've now my families of my parents who are in their 80s are handing it on to the next generation, which is me. It's got a lot going on.
Are you going to force your kids to watch A Christmas Carol?
Well, I actually love it now. I find it terrifying. It's like, Scrooge. And I'm just like, because I'm so traumatized, like post-traumatic stress. There's always a fight too. I don't know if you've had it, you have it. There's always a fight. I mean, of course, because everyone's pretending to be really happy and loving and, like lovely. Chip. And then there will be a lot of inappropriate kissing. From various members of the family.
Like what kind?
Well, maybe there is a lot of love under the hate. Hate is, I guess, love in another form, isn't it? Yeah, people would have too many drinks and there'd be like some late night Scrabble game happening out or some game that someone would have got, because we do that Kris Kringle thing. Do you guys do that? Where you got to argue.
I have done that.
Yeah,
yes.
I want to have that, petanque set or whatever the hell it is, or no, I want to have the whiskey glasses. Anyway, then the Scrabble game would happen, and then I won't mention any names, but someone, like, there's also a lot of medication. Let's face it, everyone's medicated. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to get through this. And then they're self-medicated with a lot of alcohol.
Yeah.
So then they have a few drinks and they popped a few pills earlier in the day, and then just there's tongues going everywhere in actual ears during Scrabble games.
Challenging but beautiful, Caroline. And
do you know what? On Chris, I really want to hear, because if this tradition has been passed on, maybe not today, but I'd really love to hear what's happening
today.
Well, yeah, what you've maybe in a Christmas postmortem, we can hear about what you did, what worked, what didn't, what things that you kept, and what things you've decided to throw away. And are you inviting any ex-boyfriends?
Oh, yeah. There was always a lot of like random people there, and you end up having a lot of conversations with them. That trois poulet last Christmas, Callum and I had to cook it, and we had a whole lot of Americans. I don't know. They were lovely, but I don't know their names right now, but I know their life stories. And they were telling us their entire life stories as we were trying to cook this thing. My mum's at the table screaming, "This is raw. This is burned. We're starving. Where's the food?" And we're like, sit down. We've got it going. Oil and fat was pouring out of that trois poulet, out of the actual dish, into the oven itself, and black smoke was pouring out into the kitchen. We just drank a lot.
Caroline, I feel like all of this is fodder for what should be an impending screenplay. So you need to go away, get busy, write it up. It's basically written itself. Like,
Actually, it's kind of like an anthology. Like you could do like a great anthology series of like a different family Christmases.
70s, 80s, 90s.
Like
there was quite a cathartic one where my uncle decided that his son was not going to go back to Queensland after Christmas, and instead he was going to start school at his old private school that he'd gone to. My grandma was dying at the time, and he thought this was an important moment, but he had failed to tell his ex-wife, the mother of the uncle of the kid.
So a little late Christmas present.
Little late Christmas present. He starts school at the next school.
Oh my God! So essentially, kind of doing like a kidnapping plan was hatched at your Christmas and executed.
Pretty much. And then by the time he went to school, but my uncle just, I mean, bless his soul, he was a very generous man, and he did do those trout. He didn't buy the uniform. He just didn't get around to buying the uniform, so sent the kid to to school without the uniform. And then his mum had to come down and take him home.
Just like the baby Jesus would have wanted.
That's right.
I want to hear about your Christmas.
Okay.
Let's hear it, Victoria.
Is this a specific Christmas? Because Caroline and I have both just kind of gone general.
We have.
Is yours a specific moment?
I have gone specific with my Christmas, so let me set the scene for you.
Okay.
Here's an email about 2002's Christmas. So it sets the scene for what's to come.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
And before we get started, I just want you to know these were a couple of friendnesses in succession. So the names have been changed to protect the guilty only. If you hear a name and it's someone you know, be aware that they played no part in the madness. But for your purposes, the names you need to know is going to become Tim. Is going to become Flossie. Is Tia, and is going to become Blake. Okay,
so you're.
I think I need a diagram.
You're really covering your tracks here.
Listen, it will all make sense.
I think you need some lessons from me.
But let's just say 2002 was a successful Christmas, and here's the evidence.
Mm-hmm.
An email I sent to a friend. I was house sitting her place at the time. Darling, I hope the continent is treating you well. All is hot and sticky in Sid at the Mo, so being near the beach is great. Christmas was nice, spent the day with Nicholas, Flossie and Blake. Ate like there was impending famine. Had to work on Boxing Day, which was vile. Retail is giving me a loathing of humanity well beyond whatever hospitality makes you feel.
Can I just interrupt here for a second?
Please.
Your email style is very Austen. Like, I feel like you're in a kind of, there is
Austin, Texas?
No, I mean Jane Austen. I mean,
yeah,
like like a literary great.
It's real sticky at the Mo.
No, I mean obviously there is a sort of like
that's my Texan accent.
Anyway, I've just anyway.
There's some pretension.
It's correspondence, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. It's not an email. It's a period. It's like a period piece.
Yeah, from 2002. It was a different time, like I said.
Yeah.
Okay, then we move on to the real Christmas disaster. It was the next year, the Christmas of 2003. It was a hot day.
Okay.
The records show it hit 39 degrees.
On that day.
Yep. On the button. It was fated to be the second hottest day of the year. The place was Bondi, the world-famous beachside suburb, full of glittering seas and slick bodies. And we were situated in the top floor apartment on Beach Road between the infamous Beach Road Hotel and the gleaming sands of Bondi Beach. This is where I lived with Flossie. Did you guys ever visit? You visited.
I did. I ate all your cereal. I
remember that.
No, I think I wasn't in the country. Otherwise, I would have come and eaten all of your peanut butter.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
Christmas was on a Thursday that year. This means due to my aforementioned work in retail, I was destined to work the day before and the day after Christmas. So this was just a kind of very small window of time with which to celebrate. So the temperature peaked at around 3 o'clock that day. So right around the time things were getting heated in the kitchen. But let's go back to earlier in the day before things really heated up. breakfast was at ours. I think there was probably pancakes and frivolity. And I thought, last year was such a success. Let's repeat and add a few more people into the mix. So in total, there was Tim, Flossie, who lived there, Blake, who'd been at the last Christmas, and then a friend of Blake's, Tia. And people sort of came at different times, but I think towards the end of breakfast, everyone was kind of there. So I'm pretty sure that drink had been taken around breakfast.
You've got to have
time.
a champagne, right, with the pancakes.
Yeah. So yeah, as I said,
the way you're talking, drink had been taken.
Yeah. Now at the time,
she's wearing an Empire Line dress at this point. I swear to God.
I probably wasn't wearing much. It was fucking hot. And so I live with Flossie and another innocent called Josh. That's his real name because he had no part to play in this.
I love Josh. Josh is gorgeous.
He was the best, and he'd wisely fucked off to Byron Bay for the season.
He often did that. Yeah.
He had a regular job, so he had time off. So, and alongside Flossie was her cat, whose name I can't remember, but I do remember it destroyed a really nice mid-century couch I had. Now, the cat was on antidepressants, and that's something that you need to keep in mind for later.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so I had a boyfriend, that was Tim, and he was later to become a starter husband. I think we've covered that in a previous episode.
Starter husband.
Yeah, so Tim had probably stayed the night before. So we went down to Bondi Beach for a swim, and we shouldn't have been in the water. I checked some news reports from around the time. Apparently surf life says I can't say it. The nippers. Yeah. The adult nippers. Bondi Rescue had a busy day at work. Okay, just to set the scene, right? The ABC reported surf lifesavers have a busy day at work. More than 260 swimmers were rescued that day, and 150 of them were at Bondi.
From the rips, from the waves.
From the whole of New South Wales.
Damn.
Probably from drunkenness.
Were any of them of your party?
No,
They'd had a few nips, hadn't they?
we managed to keep ourselves from the clutches of the waves and the adult Bondi nippers. But I did also look at Getty images for the day. So it kind of just shows like backpackers, it's sort of packed. People are wearing Santa hats and surfing, like, a classic scene. But I feel like if they turn their lenses to the ragtag bunch sort of towards the north end, they would have found some simmering tensions,
Right. I say, what was happening?
What
was happening there?
Tensions.
Well, things were sort of okay at this point, but then we head back to the top floor flat, and Christmas lunch really wasn't underway. And of course, I'd taken upon myself to cook.
Oh, which is wise, because if you hadn't, you would have just cooked and you would have kind of like gone in and tuned up the cook's
I would have cooked my own goose, mate, in one way or another. So I'm about to cook this epic Christmas lunch because the previous year Nicholas had showed me how to cover it in bacon. You put chipolatas at the bottom, a very sort of English methodology. But like it's getting late and Christmas lunch hasn't really been started. And
drink has been taken.
Drink has been taken. Something else from a regular Christmas lunch is about to unfold. So Tia and Tim are back in the kitchen, very drunk and flirting.
No.
Yes, like quite a lot. And I'm sort of having
I thought Tim was gay.
No, Tim's the starter husband. Blake's gay.
Oh, so basically. Interesting. Okay, let's go.
Mm-hmm. So they're kind of I remember being quite sober, and I'm on the gravy. I'm pretty sure we had beans and potatoes and a turkey.
This is very elaborate and very generous for a top floor Bondi apartment. Like you could have just done some cold prawns,
Some would say foolish. I don't know, because we'd had a successful Christmas the year before. That was the blueprint. Yeah. I was ready to repeat it. It was all good. But Tia and Tim are flirting, as I said, and I'm wrestling with myself going, is this really happening? Does it really matter? They're kind of saying, we're like brother and sister. They're like really getting along. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Anyway, furiously over a hot stove. Things are getting heated behind me between the two of them.
The martyrdom as well. I mean, that's really.
There's a lot of martyrdom. There is a lot of martyrdom.
It's all kicking in. Well, I didn't realise it was martyrdom, but it's sort of.
Or it's almost like a cooking with resentment,
Well, it's a rising feeling that kind of peaks throughout the day. So, so I
until you find starter husband's tongue in her ear.
No.
That's our Christmas. You could have gone to our Christmas with that.
I'm getting
So
confused.
at some point, Tim kind of spins around. He's near the stove and he spins around and catches the handle of the gravy saucepan, and that ends up on the floor.
No.
Yes. And he's sort of so drunk. He's like, I definitely didn't do that. Like he was sort of saying like, I would never do that. But how it was expressed was, I didn't do that. And I was like, you did, but I can remake the gravy. So
gaslighting on Christmas Day as well.
Yeah, but I love cooking, so I'm happy to do it. But as the day wears on, it becomes more and more of a chore as it becomes clear that things aren't really going the way they should.
39 degrees, just putting it out there, 39 degrees, hot air.
Top floor.
And a turkey that's taking fucking forever to cook, right?
No AC, 1920s apartment, no deodorant probably from people down in the street.
At some point in the afternoon, Flossie's eyes go black from drunkenness. And later there's speculation that Flossie had in fact taken the cat's medication. Because
Flossie.
It didn't seem like she was only affected by booze. Like it seemed like there was alcohol and some sort of chemical wave in the mix.
Sorry about Comet.
Did she start meowing?
Even Comet's outraged. He knows something was up. So, there is a kind of feeling of madness. Tia and Tim kind of calm down a bit, but at some point we come back into the kitchen and the theme from Titanic is playing. Celine Dion is singing and Flossie is on a chair.
Sorry, is this in your mind or just?
No, this is really happening.
Okay. There would have definitely been a good soundtrack. I remember that house.
Flossie is up on a chair biting into a lemon, delivering us all a kind of theatrical moment that makes no sense but gives us an indication of where her mind is at. Tim and I recover somewhat and we go off and have a quickie in the bathroom. Which
have you got the turkey out of the oven or is it still in the oven?
Highly inappropriate. The turkey does come out of the oven. I think we maybe went mid-meal. We went mid-meal into the bathroom. We'll draw a polite veil over that episode. Others were like, what took you so long? And we were just like, nothing.
I thought you said it was a quickie. Sorry.
Exactly. So we return to the kitchen at some point to find Flossie hacking into the turkey menacingly with a huge carving knife. So we'd already had lunch. She comes back for a second round. She's got a fucking massive knife, but mostly
this is a thriller. It's not.
This is the person with the black eyes and the lemon.
Black eyes and the catnip.
Yeah, the cat depressant's on board. So we come back and she's really just mostly brandishing a knife. And then hacking into the turkey, but mostly brandishing a very, very big carving knife. So I managed to get the knife off her and things kind of, simmer down to a point of normality. Now, it will be interesting to note, given what you know about Blake, is that he was pretty normal and calm the whole day.
Where's Blake? Because Blake, I remember, does have
Blake was fine. Blake was helpful and actually great and quite normal. Right. So we end up going to a party in the evening of someone else's place in Paddington where things continue to go off the rails. Flossie was rude to everyone and insults someone's boyfriend. She just hated everyone's boyfriends. She certainly hated Tim. Yeah, boyfriends were insulted. So we get into a cab back to Bondi and then Blake takes it upon himself to calmly tell Flossie as we exit the taxi on Beach Road that her behaviour hasn't exactly been in the spirit of Christmas. And things descend into their own sort of classic Yuletide scene, a verbal fight on Christmas night on the streets of Bondi between Blake and Flossie. So, she's yelling at him. He's calmly saying, no, your behaviour hasn't been great.
I'm sort of imagining it spilling onto the beach at this point.
Yeah.
I'm just going to imagine that.
I think that's a reasonable sort of...
I think it would have been better. Go for a little
go for a little dip.
Also just go for a little swim. Wash it all off.
Yeah. Sea breeze. Yeah.
I then go to bed. I've had enough. It's about 9:00 and I need to conk out. There are messages from me to friends telling them I'm going underground for a bit.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I don't speak to Flossie really until the new year. I don't speak to any of the friends except for Tim because he was my boyfriend for a couple of weeks. So it's just I am rendered mute
immobile
by the whole. Yeah.
That's powerful.
But then I sort of thought about it and I was like, well, the mistake I'd made was thinking that mostly people had like an okay-ish blueprint for Christmas, but actually I later found out that Flossie had always had awful Christmases. And so for her having a kind of chaotic...
Don't tell me with the garbage bags. Is that what it was?
Much worse. Like,
This is what
like true dysfunction.
It's a really hard time. Yeah,
it's a hard time.
It's a really hard time for people.
So, and whereas my family, bit like yours, Caroline, all the dysfunction kind of whittled away usually, and we came together and things were kind of mostly more functional for the day. Like we could put it all aside for 4 to 10 hours, let's say, and have a good time. And what I found was really interesting is I've written a lot about different life experiences, either in email or I've written like creative writing pieces or just sort of like stories that have been published or whatever. And I could not find any evidence of this anywhere because I think I had like found it too traumatic to write about.
Repressed it. You buried it deep.
Yeah, buried it deep because it was actually truly like the scene of Flossie with the knife. I did think that she was going to stab us all. Like it was faintly terrifying. But then I found 2 emails that kind of came through not long after that time. They're a bit of a coda on the story. So the first email, they were faithfully written on the same day in early February after that Christmas. And this one was sent to Express Realty. To whom it may concern, as leaseholder on the property at, let's say, 31 Beach Road, Bondi Beach, I would like to give 3 weeks' notice to vacate 3 weeks from today, which makes our last day of occupancy the 3rd of March 2004. Please contact me on 040 blah, 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 blah if you have any questions. Yours faithfully, Victoria Hannaford. And another email that came to me on the same day. Hey, Vic, long time no nothing, hey? Well, it's all about to change because I'm coming to Sydney. Watch out. I arrive Friday week, in brackets, that is so soon, and I'm going to be working out of Sydney from then until August-ish, and it would be really great to see you. You'll have to email me your mobile number. Hope you're well, in brackets, Elisa said you were, and looking forward to seeing you very soon. Bunsen burner.
That's you.
Yeah.
XX.
Oh, that is
Look at
so
that.
funny.
And so this whole sorry Christmas kind of ushered in a new era of my life. I moved with Tim to the house in Surrey Hills where Caroline, you came to live.
I
and
came
Bunsen,
to live.
you came to hang out on a mattress and eat our peanut butter.
And Josh was in the attic.
And Josh also came too.
Yeah, he was
From
great.
the ashes of insanity. A new era begins.
Yay!
I love that.
That's good. That's a good story.
I love that.
It's always darkest before the dawn, isn't it? Hey?
I know.
That is a great story, though.
I really would like to know, Victoria, what you took from that Christmas that you've brought to subsequent ones, as in I will never do blah, blah, or this,
Chipolatas again.
I haven't learned a fucking thing, I've got to be honest.
Yeah.
I repeated that time after time. Friendmasses where I took on the
because
bulk
you
of
did
cooking.
Yes.
Yeah, you did. I remember this.
I started drinking at dawn.
It's very familiar to me.
Maybe the turkey got underway a bit earlier. Yeah. Yep. I haven't learned a damn thing.
Yeah. Interesting.
So you didn't go back home for Christmas? You didn't go back to your parents?
Often no, because if you remember, Caroline, retail, so I only had one day off.
That's right.
I was very much sandwiched in between.
Was that also convenient? Like, would you have liked to have gone home for Christmas? Or can you not reveal that?
No, I think I had a good blueprint for Christmas with my family, but generally speaking, I'd had a good time with my friends too. So either was fine.
Yeah.
And Sydney was always great at Christmas, and sometimes my parents came to Sydney, and it was always a good time. This was just a rare blow up where I narrowly avoided being murdered by someone crazy on cat antidepressants. And you know what? I still think fondly about Flossie. Yeah. Mad as a cut snake. Love her. She went the full 5G over the pandemic. Still love her. She cut me off on Facebook. Still love her. If you're listening to this, Flossie, can we still be friends?
Come back. Let's all go for a swim. It just makes me want to go for a swim on Christmas morning down at Bondi Beach.
Actually, don't do that. Don't.
No.
The adult nippers will have to rescue you. Come on.
Yeah, really? But also it's just, well, if you could do it if you went super early, but it is insane
Yeah, that's mad.
It is.
Not worth your time.
It's full of people like Victoria, basically.
Okay, right, yeah.
At that time. Yeah.
I'm just very impressed you've kept your emails from 2002.
It's an archive.
That is really, you've got a whole library there. Yeah, you've got an archive.
I love that. That's great. Jesus. I'm also a little scary.
One of my favourite Christmases was swimming down in Adelaide, actually, down at Glenelg Beach and eating panettone on the beach. That was great.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that was good.
I don't understand the entire concept of panettone.
Well, it was quite good with a hot coffee. You have a jump in the ocean, hot coffee, and a little piece of panettone. It was
just a sweet bread, buns, as your screen name says. What have you got against it?
You don't have to think about it too much. Don't think too hard.
Christmas food. I tell you what, Christmas pudding, fruitcake, mince pies, panettone, all of it.
You don't get it.
Panettone, don't get the one with fruit, get the one with chocolate. And that's my final word of wisdom for you on this Christmas day.
Thank you.
We're going to be back in your feed on New Year's Day for another special. You can stay in touch on Instagram, So Uncouth Podcast, and Gmail, souncouthpod@gmail.com. Anyway, prepare your ear holes or don't. Either is fine.
Feel free to also send us any advice for Christmas from lessons that you have learnt.
Yeah, or any stories, any Christmas.
Uncouth tales.
Exactly.
And on that note, I will copy you later.
Copies later.
Copies.
Merry fucking Christmas.
So uncouth.